Welcome to another BZPower set review. I am BZPower reporter Xccj, and today we are continuing with our next LEGO Star Wars review. This time we're looking at set 75533, Boba Fett. This review is in conjunction with our art contest, the Definitive Edition. So make sure to check that out and enter something cool. For now, we have one of the more interesting of the construction figures we've seen in recent years. I know myself, when I first heard that LEGO was making these buildable figures, I thought Boba Fett would be the coolest one. And now, many waves later, we finally have him in all his glory. The back features a couple other things. You have a different pose, his jetpack, his head, his weapon, as well as a measurement of 26 centimeters tall. And on the top, you have a real size comparison of his helmet. So if we look inside the box, we see that he comes with 144 pieces, plus a few extras. Now, the piece that immediately jumps out at me is the sand green armor piece. This is the first time we've had a Hero Factory style armor element in sand green. Unfortunately, you only get 2 of these pieces, but that's a start. This is also the first time we've seen green in a Star Wars set. So that's kind of a step forward to making these Star Wars characters more colorful. Speaking of colors, you also have some dark red plates. Some of the Kitangu orange or bright flamish orange pieces. This armor element has Boba Fett symbol printed on it. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you only get one. The other piece is plain. You also have this knee element piece that has some very detailed printing on it. Same with the other one, so you have 2 of them. The standard torso piece, but it has the Boba Fett torso printing on it with sand green and a belt. A little bit battle worn, but it looks pretty detailed. That's nice. You also have these thigh pieces in light gray. These panels in sand green. You have a kind of olive green colored cloth. And a few other little bits. A little bit of blue in there. Some dark tan curved slopes. And one of the more interesting pieces is the helmet. It is very detailed. Lots of printing on it. That definitely looks like the character. It has a little connection pin in the corner there. And the socket at the bottom. These headpieces definitely work as helmets for certain characters. And Boba Fett is no exception. Well, a bunch of cool pieces, but let's see what he puts together. No, that's not right. No, that's not it either. Oh yeah, here we go. So here you have it, Boba Fett. In a lot of ways, he's a lot like most of the Star Wars construction characters. The leg design is pretty basic. He has the rounded shins on the back that are pretty common. Uses this new large thigh piece. He does have a special edition of a kind of dark tan pouch attached to both his hips. Then just a standard build for the arm with the added spear on the end. A fairly basic weapon, although there's a little extension added to it. But the rest is pretty basic, and just a standard shell. He does have a bit of a different backpack, a jetpack, than everybody else. In many ways, the build is the same as you get with any other character, be they the Rogue One characters or the Force Awakens characters. But something about Boba Fett just stands out. Maybe it's partially because he's a very iconic character, but I think what really helps here is the colors. You have a lot of colors. You have red, orange, green, and it's all jumping out nicely from the light gray. And you have a lot of detailed printing from the helmet to the torso to the lower legs, which both have unique designs, to the shoulder piece. Just more colors on here that work together and bring in the character, making him a little bit more interesting and intimidating than some of the other Construction characters we get, who have been fairly monotone. So right off the bat, he has that going for him. If you look at his back, you do see he has a few unique features. He does have this half cape. It's attached around his neck and left shoulder, so it kind of hangs off to the side. It does kind of get in the way of the jetpack, but there's some room here that you can that it kind of fits between the body and the jetpack. Now, of course, the jetpack is the main difference. We've had a few other characters who have backpack designs, like so. But this jetpack really jumps out in the blue and Kitungu orange color. Honestly, I'm not so sure if that's a good thing. I don't exactly remember him having a bright blue jetpack in the movies, but maybe this is supposed to be more of a play factor. They want the color to stand out so that kids know it's a jetpack or something. I find the color choice a little iffy, but it still has a bit of a cool feature. You have these jets at the bottom, I guess, that rotate and allows them to be a little bit swooshable, I guess. But the main feature of the jetpack is this flick fire missile. Yes, that's right, they brought back flick fire missiles. So you just push here and pew! It's not bad for a flick fire mechanism, but we've definitely had better. And it's interesting to see this play feature return, since it's been missing in a lot of sets recently, since LEGO has definitely opted for the spring launchers instead. And I'm more familiar with these Mandalorian backpack rockets from the Rebels TV show, and it seems pretty accurate for him to have one back there. So it still makes for a cool play feature. I'm just still a little hung up about the colors, but that's just me. Either way, you do get a couple of nice pieces in blue, as well as some long beams in Kitungu orange. His other action feature is his rifle weapon. It has this little stand on the end. It comes with this gray panel element, which is a bit disappointing because you only get the right element, so you don't have a left element to match up with it. The rest of the design, though, is pretty standard. It has a little bit of a scope. It has a spare weapon storage and a little trigger. So if you pull down on it, you can fire a missile. Although it's a pretty standard build, you can't have Boba Fett without his blaster, so it's necessary. Another cool feature is the use of this flick fire piece as his antenna. It's a pretty basic design, but it works, and has a little bit of motion there if you like. His head actually has great motion. You could pull an owl and look all the way around. And his arms and legs also have decent mobility. There's not really anything restricting them, but he makes for a pretty posable character. So lots of play features you can do with him. Whew. Of course, he does have a few weak points. The little pouches can pop off quite easily, especially when you're repositioning him, so be aware of that. This antenna piece on his helmet looks like it can pop off as easily well. The clips used there are just not the sturdiest connection ever. But the worst offender is the tip of the missile. It's located higher than everything else, but it's really easy to just strike it and knock it off. So unfortunately, that's a bit of a flaw. Still, this set creates one of the more iconic Star Wars characters, and it does a good job at creating his personality with a couple of different play features and lots of mobility. And in many ways, I think this is one of the best Star Wars buildable characters. So it's definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of Star Wars or if you're just a fan of the CCBS building style. Unfortunately, he's not on the cheap side, as he's retailing for $29.99 USD, so about $30 for 144 pieces. It doesn't seem like he's bigger than the standard character, but the added elements to the weapon and the jetpack probably brought up the price a little bit, as well as the uncommon colors and the cool printing. But he does seem to be quite the expensive character to pick up, so I can see that deterring some collectors. All the same, I still have to highly recommend this set. Well, thank you for watching another BZPower set review. Make sure to like and subscribe to the BZPower YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more LEGO set reviews, including some more Star Wars sets. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions in this review are entirely my own and aren't endorsed by LEGO at all. That said, if you want to take your artistic skill to changing some vehicles and characters in the Star Wars universe, you should definitely check out our BZPower art contest, the Definitive Edition, where you are tasked to create your own rendition of a Star Wars vehicle. And if you enter, Boba Fett is one of the prizes, so that seems like some good incentive. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.